Hi, Eden here with your weekly hormonal health Ayurveda inspired self-care tip. And last week I shared a little blog post and a little video about 5 things that we can do to cultivate healthy hormones and an easier going period. And the thing that was at the top of the list was to slow down and scale down when we're on our periods. And shared a little bit about the reasons why that's so important. And I want to talk now, I just want to expand on, how, because that can be really hard for some of us to slow down. We're like, what? Slow down? Like, I have so much to do. How can I do that? And it doesn't have to be a big production, and it doesn't have to be an elaborate experience of slowing down, of just setting aside a time to sequester ourselves on a pillow with some incense and in front of an altar and meditating. That can be really nice. Not denying that. Or any other way that we do it, going out into nature on a nature walk, or we're all going to have our own ways, but it can just be things that we weave into our daily lives. And I just wanted to share an example of something that happened for me yesterday, which was that I was working in the morning, and then I went to pick up my daughter, and we ran some errands together. And then we had about an hour window before I had to pick up my son from school. And so I said, let's go to the park. And I took her to the park, and I kind of was like, okay, go play. So I could get cross some stuff off my list. I had my phone out. I was ready to reply to some emails, and I was ready to make some phone calls that I wanted to catch up on. And all this stuff that was going through my head of what can I do right now with what can I squeeze into this little window of time? And then I felt my body so tense. I realized that I wasn't really breathing. I wasn't looking at my daughter, and she was actually kind of needing that. She needed to be seen by me in that moment. And she felt me just kind of like, go away kind of energy. And I felt, my heart was beating fast. I was in this kind of like fight or flight mode, and I didn't need to be. Of course, a lot of times we don't, but we are, because we have stuff piling up, and we let our nervous systems get into this fight or flight mode when there actually isn't really anything to run from or fight with. And so slowing down can actually be pausing and just recognizing that in the midst of our day. In the midst of what we're doing, just recognizing, oh, my body's feeling this way. I can feel my stress level really high. And for me, that was sort of a spontaneous experience, because I wasn't planning on going into the park and being present and having this beautiful, this beautiful experience of slowing down. But it turned out to happen that way. I ended up really enjoying watching my daughter play, and enjoying playing with and talking to some of the other extremely adorable kids that were there, and just like seeing their playfulness that inspired me. And it kind of like all the stress that I was feeling just kind of rolled off. And not to mention, it's a beautiful spring in California right now, with all the butterflies and the flowers blooming, and it just brought me into the present. My nervous system, it definitely settled. I was breathing fuller breaths. I slowed down. And like I said, this experience wasn't totally intentional, but I'm sharing it with you because these are things that we can all weave into our days. And no matter if we have to be at work or we have to be somewhere, there's little opportunities to slow down and connect with our breath, and to apply what another teacher who I really admire and love her work. Her name's Dr. Claudia Welch, and she wrote a book called Balance Your Hormones, Balance Your Life. And she talks about this idea of the medicine of subtraction. And I found this to be really profound, because what she says is that it takes courage sometimes to say no to the things that we think we have to do, but we don't really actually have to do them. Our survival doesn't depend on them. We might be in this kind of hamster wheel mode where we think that it does. We think that we have to show up for this event, even things like that, or for us it might be do we have to make this Target run in the midst of rush hour traffic, or do we have to take on this extra project at work, or do we have to sign our kids up for another extracurricular activity? We might slow down enough to realize that, yeah, maybe we want to do those things. Maybe they do bring us joy, and maybe we don't. and maybe they end up depleting us, and there's one or two of them that we can scale back on. And when we do that, the profound part of it is that we are able to connect more to what is it that does feed our soul, and in that day, in that moment. And how do we connect with that? How do we create the spaciousness enough to really recognize and honor that? And so during our period, it is a really, we could be doing this all month long, of course, and get so much benefits, but especially during our period, this is a time when another teacher of mine from Wise Earth School of Ayurveda, Maya Tiwari, she writes about this extensively in a really poetic way. But our Shakti Prana, this kind of feminine creative life force that runs through us all, that runs through the earth, that breathes life into everything and creativity into everything, it's being revitalized through our bodies when we are on our periods. And so it's actually a really deep and profound experience. And when we do slow down, we really allow our prana, our life force, this creative energy, to pulse through us more freely and connect us more to those aspects of our life and of our soul that do inspire us. And what does that have to do with hormonal health? It has a lot to do with hormonal health, because our hormones aren't just acting alone. They're acting in relation to all of these other systems in our body that all work together, this big orchestra. And when we deplete one, it throws the other one out of balance, and vice versa. And so I just wanted to share that with you, and hope it helps you slow down once in a while or recognize the ways that you can slow down in your daily life in the midst of all the movement even. And so I'd love to hear what way you use in your life to slow down and scale back. And yeah, thanks for taking the time to listen. All right, thanks. Bye.